for the next 60 minutes. I am so pleased we're going to be getting to spend some time with the man. There's nothing mythological about him unless he, I guess we do have mythological woodland creatures, but Ted Nugent is real, my friends. 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397 is the number to call. You can email Ted at nranews.com. Twitter.com/NRA News. You can leave a message on our Facebook page as well. And Ted, good evening to you, sir.
A fine, grand, ballistically coefficient greetings to all my blood brothers of the National Rifle Association and all the activists out there. Once again, Cam, proud to be with you.
What did you hunt today, sir?
Well, I run a trap line, and the hounds and I got 3 Labrador retrievers, and we have quite a ritual in between. This is almost a strange era right now. We're in between hunting season and rock and roll season, where the two do blow into each other on a daily basis. So I rock my guitar into a submissive puddle of snot and hair every day, and then I check my trap line and reduce varmints into puddles of blood and hair. And the Labradors absolutely celebrate every trap that has a critter in it. But this time of year, I'm working on a lot of fences, working on a lot of traps. We got a lot of hogs around here. I'm preparing for, I've been to a lot of mountaintops in my wonderful 62-and-a-half-year American dream. But, Cam, I'm about to embark on what I anticipate, predict, and am certain that will be the most exciting moment in my life, and let me attempt to explain that to you.
Okay.
I am going helicopter-bound skyward this coming week with my son Toby and some blood brothers here in Texas. We will be hunting massive quantities of wild swine from a helicopter. And they claim that it's possible that in just a couple days, your humble whackmaster, the Strap Assassin 1, could shoot up to 1,000 wild pigs from a helicopter.
Wow.
So everyone get on their bended knees, bow, and then look to the heavens, make the sign of the cross, and go, "Thank you, Uncle Ted. God bless you, Uncle Ted." I like to look at it this way. There's a lot of places that have hog problems. I know a place in Texas that the hogs are about to have a Ted problem. So I'm pretty excited about that. I got a couple of LaRue Tacticals and a 5.56 and 7.62 all tuned in with some nice Trijicon and some Bushnell short-range low magnification optics. I've got an absolute truckload of 223 and 308 ammo ready to rock. We're going to film the whole thing to celebrate on Outdoor Channel on our Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild show. So as excited as I am about the new song I Still Believe, as excited as I am about the I Still Believe tour, as excited as I am about rocking out with my boys in the studio, as excited as I am to watch Shemaine, Mrs. Nugent, do Zumba every night, I'm so excited about shooting pigs from a helicopter, I might squirt through the phone tonight.
All right, well, if that happens, I've got my headphones on.
Yes,
so
indeed.
it's
Now,
okay.
I tell you, I would like to take this opportunity. Once again, I'm very moved and much appreciative of the opportunity to speak, because I know I speak more for not just the Nugent family, but for working hard, playing hard, logical, truth-driven Americans out there. And I get communications from every imaginable corner of this great nation of ours and beyond, from friends in Canada and all across Europe and beyond. And I want to just say thank you to everyone who emails me and comes on tednugent.com. I read all of the emails, but I don't respond to all of them. I always respond to the children, and I always respond to newcomers who are asking questions about guns and hunting and the outdoor lifestyle. And I also respond to all the military guys and gals that contact me, especially when it comes to charity work and helping out those great heroes of the U.S. military when they're in need, and they are in need. So I want to thank everyone for the communication, the generosity they show towards the children's charities and the military charities. But I can't go on Cam and Company, NRA News, without once again saluting and thanking the Larry Potterfield family and everyone at Midway USA, certainly the Outdoor Channel and the National Shooting Sports Foundation, all my fellow boards of directors on the National Rifle Association, Wayne LaPierre and Chris Cox, and certainly the Gun Owners of America and the Gun Owners of California, the Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, all the state hunting and all the state firearms organizations, the Pink Pistol, the Second Amendment Foundation, the Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership, all the grassroots organizations, Alan Gottlieb, Bill Richardson, Sam Paradis, Larry Pratt, everybody out there who fights for our rights, because we are in the good old days right now of gun ownership, but we've got to maintain focus that the Obama administration and his communist and socialist czars and administrators are waiting to get our guns. They are always on it. They have initiated a volley on us. We have got to remain ever vigilant. We have got to be sure that everyone in our lives are members of the NRA. We should do everything we can to get everyone we know to join us in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for the 140th Annual National Rifle Association Gathering. It's the greatest family event you could ever attend. We have so much fun. You'll meet all your fellow shooters and gun nuts, and most importantly, your fellow patriots who are using the freedoms provided by the sacrifices of the military warriors by being participants in this sacred experiment, self-government. So, yes, there's a lot of good, but we must always maintain focus on the bad and the ugly, Cam.
Absolutely. Hey, you'll be happy to know Dean in Milwaukee writing in says, I made reservations for Pittsburgh for the convention. I'll be looking forward to meeting you and Ted, and Dean, looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, back at you, Dean. God bless you. But up there in Wisconsin, that is the battleground. You still don't have a Second Amendment in Wisconsin. There is no Second Amendment in Illinois. There is no Second Amendment in New York. There's no Second Amendment in New Jersey. I would hope that everyone would galvanize and encourage all their friends and families to join us in Pittsburgh on April 30th and May 1st. My family will be there all day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I look forward to meeting all those activists that are upgrading our participation in this important charge to get our Second Amendment back in America.
You bet. All right, let's go to the phones here. 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397. If you have a question for Mr. Ted Nugent, we would love to hear from you. Let's start with Robert tonight in Richmond, Virginia. Robert, good evening, sir.
Greetings, Robert.
Hey, Cam and Ted, how are you guys doing?
Happy springtime.
Excellent, man.
Same to you, pal. Ted, I love what you do for gun owners and the NRA, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I can't help myself. I'm addicted to logic, truth, and God-given rights.
The same here, my friend. Hey, I just wanted to warn you a little bit about some wild boar. I'm actually originally from South Mississippi, and that's what we used to do after deer hunting in the morning. We find a nice cutover and, get down on some wild boar. And I had a little story here that I shot one time. It was about a 280-pounder.
That's a big one.
And it charged me. And I had a 270, and I tell you, the strongest breastplate you've ever seen. This thing eventually ran me up a tree. I had to unload a .357 Magnum on it before I brought it down.
Are you having fun yet, Robert?
I was having a blast, and you're lucky you're going to be in a helicopter.
Well, I've got to say, number one, congratulations for celebrating the greatest life in the world, and that is the life of a hunter. That is the most stimulating, exciting, and responsible resource stewardship party that a man could ever participate in. So I salute you and your family, Robert. But here in Texas, the gazillions of dollars in agriculture damage and private property damage that is being increased by the increasing hog population, they're absolutely ready to start poisoning these wild pigs. And yes, they may have to do it, and the Texas Parks and Wildlife are just wonderful gals and guys. They really know their stuff. They're dedicated to the science and the biologies of wildlife management. But it is so out of control, the hunters just can't keep up with the incredible productivity of wild swine. So a lot of us are now increasing our helicopter time. And you're right, I won't be charged while I'm in a helicopter, but before I helicopter hunt, I'll put in a lot of days in the tree stand with my bow and arrow. So hopefully I'll find a really pissed-off pig that'll charge me and I can get even with a 10-millimeter.
Sounds great, Ted.
Hey.
Well, it is dangerous, but it's a lot of fun. If you're trained and you're conscientious and tactical, you can win.
Absolutely. So what are you going to do with the 1,000 head of hog that you're going to come home with?
Well, as usual, I approach perfection in everything I do.
Yes.
I demand perfection. Dustin Johnson over there in Benjamin, Texas, he has killed lots and lots of hogs. We've got a number of charities that will literally be following us with GPS units 30 minutes after our sweeps, where we call in the location of the massive death of swine, and they will be collecting these wild pigs, processing them, and donating them to the Hunters for the Hungry program and soup kitchens and homeless shelters across Texas. So it's a win-win-win. We save lots of agricultural damage costs. We balance the herd. We save a lot of habitat and environment, and we reduce this dangerous overpopulation of pigs while feeding our fellow Americans. If anyone can come up with something more beautiful than that, call me.
But you're hurting the little piggies, Ted.
You're darn right. I'm aiming for the snout. No, it's going to be great. I got a LaRue Tactical with a Trijicon pretty much open, no magnification sight on it, the red dot. And from all the research I've done, I've also got a LaRue Tactical. Mark LaRue got me a brass deflector, so I don't keep hosing brass hot rainbows into the dashboard of the helicopter. So there's a lot of specific tactical considerations when hunting from a helicopter. And I think interesting to my fellow shooters out there is that when you hunt from the air in a moving plane or helicopter, you actually aim behind. You lead behind the running animals. And pigs oftentimes will light out in a line. So if you start at the last animal and you lead behind, and I'll have to ascertain what that lead might be because I'm shooting some great 308 ammo, and the LaRue is such an incredibly accurate gun. I've trained extensively, and I believe that I should just aim for the tail. And with again, you're going to have to gauge it based on the speed of the helicopter and the speed of the departing swine. But I'm going to adjust my lead from the rear. And according to Dustin, some of the more experienced helicopter hog whackers, you can literally run into 30 and 40 sounder groups where there's 30 or 40 hogs per herd. And if you do everything right before the dust settles, you can kill them all.
And somewhere, by the way, a band has just been born with the name the Helicopter Hog Whackers.
Yes, indeed. And I've got a new band called the Nigerian Rebels. We play all James Brown music.
It's all right. It's 12 after the hour. Back to the phones we go. Dennis in Kansas. Welcome, sir, to Cam & Company.
Hey, how y'all doing? Ted,
greetings, Dennis. Happy turkey season almost in Kansas, my friend.
I'm not a hunter, so I don't know anything about it, but I got to pass this on to our – the wisdom of our legislators, and even on the state level, have decided we have a hog invasion going on up here. And what they figure to do in these economic downturn times is they want to try and figure out how to finance hiring helicopters and hunters to go out and hunt these hogs. And I'm thinking, why would you want to hire somebody when you can sell permits and maybe help the economy there with a little state money too? I mean, I'd be glad to pay a permit or something to get a hog.
Dennis, I'm writing this down. Let me see if I can translate this accurately. Help me out here, Cam. So what you're saying, Dennis, is that excessive resources, if used with logic and a sense of responsible utility, you could actually turn them into assets instead of liabilities. Wow, what a concept. Dennis, you're my hero. You must be like me, addicted to logic. You're on Cam & Company where you're getting your fix, shooting up your fix of logic with Uncle Ted. Yes, Dennis, be sure you hammer our good friends in the politics of Kansas and let them know. This is my crusade, Cam. My goal, and I hope, there's so many issues that we address on Cam & Company here on NRA News, but here's a primary one. It should be forbidden in America to ever use tax dollars to shoot, kill, or harvest any wildlife resource before you make it absolutely available to we the people by selling permits and licenses and opening seasons and encouraging people to utilize these wildlife resources, whether it's the overpopulation of elk in Estes Park, Colorado, where they have the audacity to hire sharpshooters, and now they're actually worrying about coming up with a budget to hire people to kill pigs in Kansas. I happen to know, Dennis, that Kansas is a hunter's paradise. And all the bureaucrats have to do is just say, hunters of Kansas, kill pigs. No closed season, no bag limit, no permit needed. Have a nice day.
There you go.
Hey, man, appreciate the phone call tonight.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dennis. Godspeed.
All right. Let's see. In the talkbacks, Brian in Springfield, Ohio wonders, Uncle Ted, do you ever hunt small game like rabbit or squirrel?
Oh, absolutely. I love to hunt small game. I start off with squirrels every year. In fact, here in Texas, in most areas, there's no closed season. But let's examine that for a moment, shall we? There's actually a season and a bag limit on on rodents. There shouldn't be a season or a bag limit unless there's some strange area I've never heard of where the squirrels are, endangered or something, which I can't believe exists. But yes, I love squirrel hunting with my Smith & Wesson and my Taurus 22 revolvers. I love hunting rabbits with my bow and arrow on snowy or cold days when the sun is out. I'm a pheasant and waterfowl and quail and grouse and woodcock and dove maniac. I love that stuff. And with Werner's ginger ale and seasoned olive oil, I will turn a limrat into the coolest, most delicious, sexy dinner you've ever had in your life. So, yeah, we do a lot of small game hunting.
Werner's ginger ale?
Werner's
really?
ginger ale. That's the only ginger ale, I believe, that actually has ginger in it. And if you use Werner's ginger ale, it was originated in Detroit, is what I was raised on. I still get it. And you can get it everywhere. People say, well, you can't get Werner's where I live. False. You can get Werner's ginger ale everywhere. And if you marinate goose breast or duck or squirrel or even domestic chicken or pork or beef, but venison and wild game, if you've marinated for a few hours or overnight in a glass dish with Werner's ginger ale, and your favorite olive oil. There's some really good seasoned olive oil out there, mesquite olive oil here in Texas, with some parsley flakes, maybe some oregano, maybe some a cayenne pepper, maybe a little garlic salt, a little garlic pepper, but marinate it overnight and then slap that baby on the grill after soaking in Werner's ginger ale and olive oil. I swear to God, any food you've ever eaten will taste dramatically better if you marinate it in Werner's ginger ale and olive oil. That's an Uncle Ted Tech Tip brought to you by Garlic.
All right. Let's try to squeeze in one more phone call here before we have to take our first break. Tim is in Pennsylvania. And, Tim, hang on one second here. There you go. Tim, welcome to Cam & Company.
Greetings, Tim, my blood brother.
Hey, Ted. Hi, Cam. How are you?
Fantastic, man.
That's great. Hey, Ted, I just wondered, how can we, as in the trenches folks, reach out and inspire other people, not only to step up and call their legislators and stuff, but also think outside the box regarding promotion and recruitment. A lot of inner city kids kind of get lost in the mix, and in some ways, they're some of the ones that maybe need our help more than the kids that grow up in a more country and more rural setting.
Well, Tim, you've certainly identified what you and I have talked about for years now, and what is a pivotal, critical consideration for the future of America overall, not just gun rights and not just hunting rights. Remember, it is not the enemy that is winning against us. It's the apathy that is causing so many Americans to bend over and take it. So the dialogue, you can't wait for the subject matter of apathy or freedom or gun rights or hunting rights to come up. Everyone who believes in it, everyone who knows there's a culture war going on, certainly everyone listening to NRA News right now, certainly every member of the National Rifle Association, we have got to initiate that dialogue, not when it's convenient, not when you think it's important, but all the time, everywhere, to everyone. And I'm not talking about pounding your fist on the desk and screaming. I'm talking about sharing a great shooting experience with some friends of yours that don't shoot, a great archery experience with some young people about the disciplines and the aim small, miss small joys and stimuli of the shooting sports and the shooting disciplines. But we have to do it constantly at church, at school, at the workplace, at the barbecue, at the bowling alley. Believe me, the culture war erupted in the face of apathy, where we took so much for granted after winning against the Japs and the Nazis in World War II, that it is really a crime against the American dream of an experiment in self-government, where so many Americans don't consider themselves an experimenting self. So, Tim, you've been greatly successful, and I know it's frustrating because you get one guy here to join the NRA, you get a couple kids here to start bow hunting, you get an uncle to maybe teach their children about handgun safety and the joys of the shooting sports, but believe me, it's an incremental return to activism, the same way we incrementally backed away from our responsibilities to participate in this experiment legitimate self-government. So you stay on course, Tim, but the battle cry in 2011 and what we will be celebrating at the NRA annual meetings in Pittsburgh at the end of April and the first day of May is activism, 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 and turning up the heat. A letter to your legislator means nothing. It's the second, third, and fourth reminder letters that finally wake them up, because a lot of politicians dismiss us. When they hear from us on occasion, they laugh in our face because they don't think we're serious. It's time to turn up the heat. So in everything you do, increase it, upgrade it, and never, ever back off.
Well, I agree with everything you said, Ted.
Well, it's been proven. None of these are hunches. You know that I've been at this a long time.
Ted, you know what I've been active in and everything for the last few years and that, and all I've ever done is teach people how to play with sharp sticks and shoot off my mouth.
Well, yeah, and you do a fine job at both, by the way.
Thank you.
Hey, Tim, appreciate the phone call tonight, sir. Have a great evening. We've got one line open right now at 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397. I want to remind you, you can send us an email, ted@nranews.com, twitter.com/NRA News. You can post a question on our Facebook page, talkbacks, phone calls. Welcome back to Cam and Company here on NRANuge.com, at least for this hour, and Sirius XM Patriot. Taking your phone calls, 1-866-NRA News. Email ted@nranews.com, twitter.com/NRA News, Facebook page as well. And Ted, let's head back to the phones here. I want to talk to Susan, who is in Lake Tahoe this evening. Susan, how you doing?
Greetings, Susan.
Fine. How are you? Oh, Uncle Ted, it's such an honor to talk to you. My husband's a great fan, too, all the way.
Thank you.
Anyways, we spread the word all across the country about, the rights and all that stuff. So that's one thing. We're truck drivers, so we go everywhere. But I was wondering, do you have a favorite jerky recipe for the wild game that you get?
I do a lot of flesh handling. I'm a carcass guy. I'm a haunch, a slab guy. But we don't make our own jerky. We have so many buddies that make such terrific jerky. We've just never gone to the extra effort of drying it out and cutting into those kinds of strips. Plus, we do so much killing throughout the season that we rely on our buddies and some local butchers, both in Michigan during that hunt and here in Texas during this hunt, that they process the jerky for us. But on a good note, Susan, because we so love the jerky and it has passed the Nugent palate test, we sent, speaking of pallets, the other pallet, we sent a pallet of venison jerky to the heroes of the U.S. military over in Afghanistan back in December, and I believe it was approaching a half a ton.
That's awesome, because we have kids in the military, too, so that's awesome. Thank you for supporting them so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Is there a place we can get some really good jerky recipes?
Say that once again.
Is there a website or someplace, some of your buddies that have really good jerky recipes?
Yes, I am not the master of the Internet. Certainly, I bet you. In fact, I know for a fact that at tednugent.com, especially on Talkback, we have a bunch of guys that are always offering up what sound like wonderful recipes for their jerky. In fact, when we were at the SHOT Show and the upcoming NRA show like last year, I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of venison masters that will have good jerky recipes. So I'll bet you it's all over the web somewhere, huh, Cam?
I'm sure it is here. I'm doing some checking. I'm looking. Ted Nugent and Sarah Palin are blood brothers. Let's see. Ted Nugent artist facts.
You're darn right.
Here's one. Someone says it says Ted Nugent is a moron, aka too much beef jerky fries your brain. So there's something out there for everybody, even I guess the jerky haters. Ted.
Well, we will certainly check that out.
All right,
Susan, God bless you. Make sure that up in Lake Tahoe there, I hope you're a member, not just the NRA, but also the Gun Owners of California. They're doing God's work on the front lines of an anti-gun insanity in California that I hope you're a part of out there.
Hey, Susan, thanks so much for the phone call. Scotchman 53 in Crowder, Oklahoma, checking in the talkback, says, what's the latest on the guns going across the border? Smells kind of pocket lining to me. Well, the latest, Scotchman, is that a second ATF agent has come out and publicly criticizing Operation Fast and Furious. CBS News was also reporting today that it wasn't just members of the ATF who were a part of this program. There were apparently agents from ICE. There was a U.S. Assistant Attorney General who was involved in the project. There were representatives from DHS. Janet Napolitano said, well, this was an ATF operation. We didn't know anything about it. So the story is just getting bigger and bigger, Ted. It's amazing. I don't know how closely you've been following this, but I mean, the allegations that are being made are extraordinary.
Well, it is extraordinary, except when you examine the continuing abuse of power that our government currently is guilty of. I mean, overwhelmingly obvious. And again, I salute the good men and women of the BATF, because there's a whole bunch of them. I've spoke with a bunch of them off the record, and they are more aghast and more angry and offended by this irresponsible, not downright, well, there's no if about it, this downright criminal act of the certain agents and certain bureaucrats ignoring the laws against gun running and taking guns into illegal territory like that. So yeah. I hope it's exposed. I hope the guilty come to justice, and I hope we figure exactly out what happened here, because it's one of the worst examples of abuse of power that I've ever seen.
Absolutely. All right, 30 after the hour, back to the phones we go. 1-866-NRA News. 866-672-6397 is the number to call. Let's talk to Bill in Michigan tonight. How you doing, Bill?
Greetings, Bill.
Hey, gentlemen. Greetings, Ted. Thanks for taking my call. I have property out in Idaho, and I lived through the heyday of the elk hunt. Chased a lot of wily wapiti with my sharpened stick. I live in Michigan now, again, my birthplace. But it broke my heart when I saw the wolf reintroduction and what it was doing to the big game herds over the last decade. We're facing a similar challenge here in Michigan. So I've been trying to draw sportsmen's groups and other large organizations to fight it based on the 10th Amendment. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, Ted.
Well, my thoughts are based on the evidence that, once again, is universal and irrefutable, and that's that the wolf population is completely out of control. There's far too many wolves. The agenda of those reintroducing the wolves has always been nefarious. They did so that these wolves could undermine the incredible success of wildlife management across western USA. And yes, the wolf population, the overpopulation of wolves, is decimating the big game populations and actually bringing shearest moose down to numbers that we haven't seen in 100 years, and the same thing with some bighorn sheep population. But there's a great guy named Don Pay. Don Pay has a great organization called Sportsmen for Wildlife Conservation, Sportsmen for Fish and Game, out there out of Idaho, and actually out of Utah, and he's doing God's work. I did a convention out there just recently in Salt Lake City, Utah, and Don Pay was there, and he is galvanizing those sporting organizations like the Boone and Crockett Club and a number of other organizations like Safari Club International. I hope these organizations are working as hard as Don is. But yes, this is a serious issue, not just out west, Bill, but in our home state of Michigan and in Wisconsin. Wolves are decimating white-tailed deer populations in both of those states in the northern zones. And it's time that we delisted the wolf. There's another charge for upgrade and activism. Everybody who cares about balanced, healthy wildlife populations and biodiversity has got to call their elected officials and demand that the wolf be delisted, not just in the few states that they're starting to claim they're doing, but the wolf needs to be delisted in North America. It is not an endangered species. A wolf does not buy licenses or permits or have a bag limit or a season. A wolf kills and kills and kills, and they are not supporting wildlife conservation. Wolves are a liability. They need to be managed. They need to be reduced, and we need to demand our elected officials delist the wolf from the Endangered Species Act immediately. So, Bill, do that in the home state of Michigan. I'm coming back to my birth state of Michigan here next week, and or the week after. And I'm meeting with the good Governor Snyder and the Speaker of the House and the Attorney General, and that's going to be one of my prime concerns and updates for these bureaucrats in Michigan, that Michigan should delist the wolf immediately. It is not endangered.
You know, you're right, Ted, and it's amazing. It's so easy to see the political agenda of the anti-hunting activists and the environmentalists as opposed to the conservationists, who still claim that the wolf needs to be on the endangered species list, though it's not endangered. As you say, it's not even threatened. But I guess at this point, you know, the endangered species list is sort of like a roach motel. Once you get on, you can't get off.
Well, and that's the problem with bureaucracy. So, Bill, thanks for that reminder, because that is a primary concern for all conservationists, all environmentalists, and certainly regarding our hunting, fishing, and trapping heritage, because if we allow wild game to be decimated for one consideration, like the wolf, then there will be no revenues, the billions and billions of dollars in revenues that pay for state game agencies, that pay for wildlife conservation, that pay for rehabilitation and relocation of wildlife into their traditional zones, that have been responsible for the increase in the wild turkey and the elk and the mule deer and the bighorn sheep and the Shiras moose, and it goes on and on. Without the hunters, fishermen, and trappers' dollars, there will be no conservation. And if the wolf are killing our game without paying for it, then we're all doomed.
All right, back to the phones we go here. Travis is in Kansas City this evening. How you doing, Travis?
Greetings, Travis.
Well, appreciate it, guys. Uncle Ted, I'm jealous as all get up about this upcoming hog hunt, and I'm looking to get into it myself. I'm looking to get into it from the big bore revolver standpoint, and I'm actually in the market shopping right now. I wonder if you might have any recommendations on some wheel guns I should be looking at.
Well, Travis, handgun hunting for big game is one of my favorite things. I've been doing it for 40 years. I've always been very successful with a good old Smith & Wesson Model 29 and 629, anywhere from the 4-inch to the 8 3/8 inch, and even some of the longer-barreled silhouette guns. But the Taurus 44, the Ruger 44s, the Smith 44s, they're all wonderful guns. You can go up to the 454 Casull. You can go to the big Cannon 500 Smith. That takes a lot of practice and a lot of control. So does the 460. You pretty much have to have shooting sticks or a rest. But it's all an individual choice. You need to test them all. But believe me when I tell you, you just can't go wrong with a good old classic 44 Magnum, both single action or double action. And I'm going to give you another little tip. As the ultimate combination of pig and big game hunting pistol and a daily carry pistol, and that's my beloved 10 millimeter, whether it's in a various 1911, where it's Kimber or Springfield or Pear or Smith or Colt or CZ, or the mighty Glock high capacity 10 millimeter. I've had great success killing big bears and moose and kudu and gemsbok and eland and a lot of deer and a lot of hogs with my 10 millimeter in various actions. So try as many as you can and make your choice. But as long as you stay 10 millimeter and up, 10 millimeter, 41 Magnum, 44 Magnum, 454 Casull, 460 or 500 Smith, and then of course you got the 500s. You got all kinds of wonderful calibers out there, and you got your single shots that come in pretty much any caliber you can imagine. Try as many as you can and make your choice.
I appreciate the insight. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Travis. Have a great night. Happy hunting to you, sir. Let's take one more quick call here before we have to take another break. Raymond is in Alabama. Raymond, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Greetings, Raymond.
Great, sir. Listen to the program all the time. Thank you guys for doing what you're doing, and hunter growing up. And one thing I wanted to say is that I just realized recently when I filed for benefits for the VA that I had medals in Vietnam that they're going to pay for all of them except the one that Vietnam issued to me, and all the wasteful spending, and they can't even afford to give me one of my medals that I earned. It's unbelievable.
Well, we're sorry to hear that. Number one, thank you for serving our country, Raymond, and your sacrifice and dedication. But, boy, I would enlist the help of some very dedicated politicians, senators and congressmen down there in the great state of Alabama, and I bet you they would help with that, because whenever I heard a story over the years, and believe me, we've heard a lot of them, where the disabled vets or just all the vets out there need some assistance, need to get what's coming to them, people do come out of the political woodwork to help, because there's some great patriots out there still in politics, and I bet you could galvanize some support there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate all you guys do, and I listen to you all the time. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Raymond. Don't give up, man. Keep at it. Keep hammering and pushing, and demand your rights, man. You got benefits coming. Do not give up.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Raymond, definitely contact your congressman, contact your senator's office. What Ted said is absolutely right, and appreciate the call, and more importantly, appreciate your service, Raymond. It's 38 after the hour. We're going to sneak away for just one more break here. 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397. That's the number to call. You can send us a talkback at NRA News, and email ted@nranews.com, twitter.com/NRA News, and our Facebook page as well. Welcome back to Cam and Company here on NRANuge.com and Sirius XM Patriot 1-866 NRA News 866-672-6397. Talkbacks at NRANews.com, Twitter.com/NRA News, NRA News on Facebook, and you can email Ted at NRANews.com as well. And by the way, Ted is very gracious to spend an hour with us, but I don't think an hour is nearly enough time for Mr. Nugent.
With my Fun Cup runnething over.
Yeah.
Yes, I would recommend two hours. But anyhow, maybe in the upcoming weeks before the big annual events in Pittsburgh on May 30th and May 1st, actually be April 29 and 30 and Sunday, May 1st. I plan on being there the whole weekend. Maybe a few weeks before the heralded event, we might be able to increase it to 2 hours so we can take some more phone calls. I do want to say thank you for the opportunity, Cam, and certainly thank you to everybody out there who's listening, and all the people who are calling in, and all those people who are standing on hold. But I would also encourage everyone to come to tednugent.com, where all my writings for many, many years, there's got to be 1,000 articles I've written there, and updates from every which angle, everything about activism, everything about the American dream, and the charity work we do with the children and the heroes of the military. And also, I don't know what the system is, but I also Twitter. And if people want to do the Twitter Ted/Gonzo double live Whackmaster or whatever it is, how do you think you'd get to Ted Nugent Twitter? What's the system there?
I'm going to guess it is twitter.com/Ted Nugent.
I bet you that sure sounds official.
I'm gonna look
Twitter,
here.
Whatever that is, /Ted Nugent.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah,
there it is.
I twit and tweet here and there from tree stands, and I have some pretty fascinating twits these days.
You do, and you know what? I want to let folks know as well that if they just can't get enough tonight, March 24th on CMT, they are running a marathon of Running Wild with Ted Nugent.
Yes, let me tell you about this. This was filmed here at Spirit Wild Ranch in Texas at our home a number of years ago, and there's some fascinating angles that I think we should discuss a little bit here. Number one, it turns out that one of the boss hogs, maybe it's the owner or CEO of CMT. Now think about that. That's country music television. Cam, am I mistaken that country music claims to be the music of the rural community, the outdoorsman, the farmers, the rancher? Am I off base here?
I've heard this, yes.
I think that's where it supposedly started, even though there's never been a country song in the history of the world that competes with Dog Eat Dog, Cat Scratch Fever, or certainly Wang Dang Sweet Poontang. Being that as it may, the boss hogs at CMT, they don't like the pro-Second Amendment guy. They don't like the Whackmaster. They don't like that I've had the number one viewed show on the Outdoor Channel for, it's been almost 20 years now or something like that. They don't like that I promote and celebrate the truth about gun ownership and hunting rights everywhere I go in a wallpaper carpet bomb way. And the word is out, allegedly, that the boss hogs at CMT have intentionally kept Running Wild from Ted Nugent. Incredible footage, an incredible television show where I bring these people from every imaginable walk of life, teach them the basics of the shooting sports. We have long-range competition, machine gun competition, handgun, archery, crossbow. We learn to make survival gear from natural ingredients that you find in the wilderness. And some of them are natty bumpo clueless. They've never handled a firearm or a bow and arrow before. But some of them, Cam, are heroes of the U.S. Navy SEALs and the U.S. Marine Corps Green Berets and the Army Rangers and Special Ops. So I really, more than met my match, I met my czars. I met my gods of all things shoot and survive. So it's a fascinating show, but it has been literally kept out of distribution for 3 years, and I believe because it irks the anti-hunters and the anti-gun people that may or may not be in charge of CMT Network. So that they are finally showing it, and I have not even seen the final edit. But I can't imagine they could ruin the show even if they wanted to with editing it, because it was an absolute riot. Running Wild from Ted Nugent on CMT Network on March 24th. I guess it's going on all night. People were, much like Surviving Nugent and Wanted Ted or Alive, It really celebrates rugged individualism and survival and the tooth, fang, and claw reality of the farming, ranching, wilderness, hunting, fishing, trapping lifestyle. So people, let everybody know, Running Wild from Ted Nugent on CMT March 24th. It's going to be a riot.
All right. Back to the phones we go here. Let's talk to Larry in Arizona. Larry, how you doing?
Larry, greetings in Arizona.
Hey, you.
That's us, Larry. How are you, sir?
Doing all right. I guess my concern and my interest is that I live, and basically my wife and we basically rely on the land for survival. And basically, when it comes hunting season, if I don't get drawn for a deer, we don't get to eat.
Well, Larry, that's an important issue too. I am not an expert on Arizona wildlife management. I overwhelmingly salute and thank the men and women dedicated to the wildlife conservation and law enforcement of our hunting, fishing, trapping, and outdoor lifestyle. The vast majority of them are the greatest people you will ever meet, behind a badge or behind a gun. They're just great people. And most of the game departments are damn good, too. However, in some states, most notably Arizona, where even the residents can't be assured a deer tag or an elk tag or any kind of big game tag, I don't even think a resident is guaranteed a javelina tag, for God's sakes. I might be wrong about that. I get Corky Richardson on some of my Arizona blood brothers like Ron Thompson. They would know. But Larry, boy, I got to tell you, I feel terrible that a resident of a state in the United States of America can't be assured of getting a deer tag when in Michigan, you ready for this, Larry? In Michigan last hunting season, every deer hunter, and there's over 800,000 of us, every deer hunter could buy 5 doe tags a day. October, November, December, and in some instances even before and after that for special seasons. Think about that. 800,000 deer hunters legally could buy 5 doe tags a day, and Larry can't get one stinking deer tag in the entire state of Arizona if he's not drawn. There's something wrong here.
Yeah, clearly, Larry, you need to move to Michigan. Even in Virginia, I think you can get 6 tags over the course of the season, which, there's no 5 a day. All right, back to the phones we go here. Let's talk to Carl. He's in Idaho tonight. Carl, good evening.
Carl, greetings in Idaho.
Thank you. Let you know I am a lifetime member.
God bless you.
Hunt a lot of predators. Save the deer hunting with the grandkids, but I want to know why nobody has ever brought up the fact that the wolves that are in our state are not a native wolf. It's Canadian gray wolf, and they're at least half again bigger than the timber wolf that was there.
Well, that's another indicator, Carl, and good for bringing that up. There's nothing right about the wolf in North America being on the endangered species list. There is also nothing right about reintroducing the wolf, particularly a non-indigenous species of the wolf, into the western U.S. and in northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, where they have been proven to devastate the deer and elk and other big game herds. And the agenda is so obvious because it was supported by the Humane Society of the United States, which is absolutely committed to banning hunting in America. The Humane Society of the United States and Wayne Pacelli and his anti-hunting, anti-gun, anti-nature, anti-American, deceiving, money-grubbing hippies, they don't want to spay and neuter dogs and cats. They don't want to save wildlife. They don't want to make more humane practices for farm animals and other animals. They are out in their own agenda, stated clearly and publicly, that they are out to ban hunting. Now, an organization that supports the reintroduction of the wolf across game lands in North America, who's on record to ban hunting, who needs to think long or hard about why they might have reintroduced the wolf, especially a bigger variation of the North American wolf? So, Carl, you're right on. Make sure that you contact your elected officials, get the damn wolf delisted, Open a hunting season on them, not just in Wyoming and Montana and Idaho and Utah. They need to have an open season on wolves nationwide. They need to reduce the populations dramatically so that they're not a liability on biodiversity and a liability on wildlife populations.
And Carl, be sure to check out your Governor Butch Otter and what he's had to say about the wolf population, because he's been going after the federal government, trying to make sure that Idaho can actually manage its own wolf population. And the latest, he said, look, if you guys won't let us manage it, then fine, it's all on you. And every time we get a call about a wolf, it's just, you know what, it's the federal government's responsibility since you won't let us manage our wolf population. So Governor Otter up there in Idaho is speaking out as well, Carl.
Yeah, he's a good man, just like Governor Schweitzer in Montana. In fact, Governor Schweitzer already made a governor's decree. Kill wolves. God bless him.
Absolutely. Hey, Ted, unfortunately, sir, we got about 40 seconds left before the end of the hour, so I want to thank you again for coming on the program. Happy hunting to you, sir, and we'll talk to you again next Monday.
Yes, Cam, Godspeed. God bless the NRA. Remember, everybody, sign up your family and friends and coworkers and everybody in your life to be a member of the NRA, and I'll see you in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on April 30th and Sunday, May 1st.
Ted Nugent, the Motor City Madman, joining us here for his weekly appearance as we head into the NRA annual meetings in Pittsburgh, PA. As Ted said, they kick off on April the 29th.